we're in an increasingly interconnected world. The world is not going to disconnect. And it's just so important that regulators are working together, that when we're trying to solve a problem, we come up with a solution, it's one solution, and we can deploy that across the region. It adds enormous friction, enormous costs to be trying to solve the same problem in different ways, market after market. And that's not going to be in the interests of APEC. What APEC can do is help enormously with standards. So I think of something like the APEC card that all of us are familiar with, and I think it adds tremendous value. And essentially what's been done across the member countries is a protocol that adds huge convenience and takes away frictional costs for people who are doing business across the region. I think the same can be thought of as the opportunity in the digital space. So think of standards of digital identity, and that could be government identification, the identification required for financial institutions, but also in a whole variety of contexts to prevent fraud. It could be digital authentication to authenticate transactions, or it could be the legal framework around what constitutes a binding agreement. When can a digital signature versus a wet signature or even a chop in some countries be used? We see a lot of very important and valid concern around privacy. And there's no question that in the world in which we live, data privacy is one of the central consumer protection issues that governments and certainly financial institutions and people in many other industries are faced with. And daily we see the risk of hacking and data leakages and things like that being a factor. So the concerns around that are very valid, are very real, and are very important. But we've got to make sure that data privacy standards, important as they are, don't get in the way of actually extending services across the region. And indeed, making services from this part of the world available to other parts of the world as a business opportunity. The conversion of China to a consumption-driven economy is one of the most important economic transitions happening in the world today. The continued growth of India and the infrastructure build-out in India that is necessary to support the continued growth of consumption and the continued welfare of the Indian consumer is equally important. We passionately believe that reducing trade barriers is an important driver of economic opportunity for the countries involved. And we've seen that in a number of cases across Asia where there is a direct increase in the access that foreign companies have to local markets, and that of course is reciprocated. And there is a direct benefit to end users, be they consumers or businesses. One of the most important things governments can do is to continue that trajectory and to continue to be committed to eliminating trade barriers of all kinds across the bloc.